All right, I want to go over a few more things on setting up your workspace. Just a few more shortcuts and things that could help that I didn't go over in the previous video. So let's go over them really quick. I'm still probably going to miss a ton of stuff, by the way. I don't know every shortcut there is in Photoshop, and I quite frankly use Photoshop quite basically as well. I kind of paint like a traditional painter. I don't use a lot of fancy tricks. And all that stuff. So, what I'm teaching you again, I just want to caveat is not what everything Photoshop has to offer. I'm sure I haven't unlocked a lot of it, but it's really how what I use to paint my own paintings and really what you'll need for my course, Essentials of Painting, which is available on my site, tiffaniemang.com. So, with that being said, I went over last time, and I apologize in my last videos. I only recorded my Photoshop screen, not my whole desktop. I am working on a Cintiq right now, so you couldn't see the top bar, which I hope you can see here. File, edit, image, layer, type, select, filter, 3D, view, plugin, window. Now, I don't use a lot of these. Really, what you need to know, just to recap, is file, new, to get a new document, which we went over in the previous lesson, how to size and do all that stuff. Again, I'm on Adobe RGB, so click create. But the other shortcut for that, if I want to just exit out of that, is Command N. So I'm on a Mac. So for me, it's Command. I think for Windows, it's the Windows, but I don't know because I don't use Windows. So Command N. So just whatever the equivalent of that is, and it'll bring this interface up again. You can choose your sizing and then click Oh, create. But I'm going to click close. So again, that's Command N. You can see that pops up. Okay. Right now here. I have a file. Let's say I want to open something else up, like something older that I was working on. I can go to File, Open Recent. Although for some reason I never really do this. Usually what I do is Command O, which will bring up, my Finder on my Mac. And then I will, let's say I'm like, yeah, I want to open this photo. So I'm going to open this, click Open, and then it will open it up. So Command O is to open up a file, and then you can navigate through your, what do you call it? Your, I don't know what, Finder, and go to your hard drive, your desktop, and whatnot. So this is my hard drive, and it just took me to the last folder. But if I wanted to, go to my own folder and maybe open up something, I don't know. I have all my color studies saved here, and I want to open up a reference image, then that's how I can navigate and open up anything that I want from my computer. So that the shortcut for that is Command O. Command O. Okay. Now you can see that I have a lot of these tabs open, and I like to work in tabs. Usually when let's say I'm working on this right now, my color studies, and I don't want to look at anything else, then that's fine. I have these in tabs, right? I can navigate on each of them, and I just have a bunch of random stuff open to have more tabs. But I usually like to work like this. However, there are other ways to arrange your workspace, right? So if you go here and arrange, you can do two up horizontal. And sometimes when I'm doing color keys for work and I have references down here, I'll just drag all my reference images and I'll put them here while I'm painting up here. Okay, so that's another way to do that. You can also go, you know, do three stacked like that and then arrange it how you want it. Sometimes I have my layer panels. So sometimes if I have, you know, two references that I want, I can do this. Some people use this really cool app called PureRef, and it is really cool. I don't use it. I actually prefer that I like to drag references on my document, like you see here. So if I'm doing small color studies or color keys, whatever, I like to drag my images directly onto the one page. So I don't actually have to have these multiple tabs or panels. But if I wanted multiple panels, again, that is Windows, Arrange, and you can choose two up horizontal, two up vertical, whatever floats your boat. Sometimes these, like, I don't like this, like, just gets too narrow. So, whatever you like, right? You can, they even go up to, so Windows, that's Windows arrange. Okay. Windows arrange and choose whatever you want. That, frankly, is too overwhelming for me. So, I usually like to do three max, two or three up stacked. So, two up horizontal or three up stacked are my favorites. And then when I don't want any of that, I just go consolidate alt to tabs. And now it's brought me back to the original, but everything else is in tabs. Now, another option is if I go to Windows Arrange and I go to float in window. I've never actually done this, so let's just see what happens. Oh, that's kind of cool. I've never done that. I guess you can float the, oh, but then that goes away when you click here. So I guess you can kind of do this and it'll float on the side, and you can also adjust. I forgot to mention this before, but if you pull up the corners, you can make the Photoshop whole window smaller or bigger. So sometimes, oops, sometimes, if you want to do this, you can do something like that and have that as a reference. That's kind of cool. I've never done that, but now I learned something new. So just play around, honestly. Float all in Windows. Don't think I want that. So, oops, that's a little overwhelming to me. So let's just do Windows, arrange, and consolidate all to tabs. And now that it's really skinny, I can again click, make sure that diagonal arrow is showing, and then I can drag the corners. So I hope you can see that since I'm recording my whole screen. So with that being said, let's say I want to drag an image onto a blank canvas. What I usually do is I'll go two up horizontal and I'll take the image that I want. And let's say I want to do a color study of this, but I want everything on the same document. I'm going to click here, and all you need to do is hover over the layer. Don't think it matters if it's locked right there, and just drag it onto your canvas. Okay. Now this pops up and it says, are you sure you want to convert colors to a destination document? My destination is Adobe, and this one is sRGB. And for the sake of a reference, I just click OK for now. So that's fine because it's not going to make that much of a difference, honestly. So you just click OK. And then we can use the transform tool, which I don't think I talked about yet, but I will talk about in a later lesson to make it smaller. So once you drag it, it's automatically going to have that transform tool. So I'll just do another image just to show you. So if I drag this onto my empty untitled canvas, sorry, not this. If I drag it, again, just drag, hover, it's going to ask you that. Just click OK, and then it'll land. Sorry, it doesn't automatically pop up. So right now it's really big. So I have to press Command T, which is the shortcut for transform, and I can scale it. Okay. So that can be helpful. So let's say I want to use these two as references. I kind of like to do it this way. I guess you can call that the old school way. And then they've already created themselves as two new layers here. And I don't talk about layers yet, so just bear with me here, but I'll go over layers in the next lesson or so. Now, just really quickly, an extra little bonus. If I want to, let's say, do a study on the same page, what I would do, I'm going to take the marquee tool, M for marquee. So again, if you hold down, you can see M is a shortcut. And also, if you just hover, don't hold down, just hover with your mouse. This little information video will pop up and you can watch a quick video. So usually what I like to do is if I'm doing a study, like what I did here, okay, all I did was, I'll drag this here to show you. All I did was I made a new layer. I dragged my marquee tool out because it's a rectangular shape. And then I press, I usually choose a warmer tone to fill it in. And then I press Option Delete to fill that in completely. And now you have this little canvas. And later on, if you watch my later lessons, I talk about how to use clipping masks and layer masks so that everything you paint is going to be within that layer. So even if I go outside and my brush goes outside the boundaries, it doesn't matter because everything is clipped to this main parent layer. Okay. So that's called a clipping mask. And if you go to my later lessons, I talk about that a lot more. So I'm not going to go over that really quick right now. I just wanted to show you how I could drag an image to a canvas. Okay. Um, then other last thing that I wanted to talk about was going full screen. So let's say I just want to focus on this right here, and I don't want any of the other tabs. You can press F, and that will bring you to full screen, kind of full screen. I call this like semi full screen. And you can see that my tabs are gone, but I still have all my layers, my colors, my brushes, my navigator, my tools right here. That's all good. If I press F again, everything's going to go away. And then you can look at this just like in its entirety. So sometimes I like to do this and I just like to step back, look at my painting without everything around it and just leave it there for a little bit and look at it, do some other stuff, come back with fresh eyes. So again, if you want to get out of this, just press F again and then you'll get out of it. So F brings you to the semi full screen, F again, completely full screen with no nothing around it, and then F to go back to how you originally were. Now I'm going to just arrange this all back to a tile. And you might be wondering how I get this dark gray color behind. All I have to do is hover your mouse over this area, right click, and then choose what you want. Sometimes I like black. Sometimes I tend to like darker colors. So this, keep in mind that this might affect the way you choose colors in your canvas. I don't like light colors. I don't know why. It just hurts my eyes a little bit. Or you can select a custom color, which I've never done. So let's just select a custom. Wow, look at that. That's cool. But for me, I always stick with dark gray. It's kind of like a happy medium for me. So again, I hover over this area right here outside of my canvas, right click, and then choose and click whatever you want. Okay. Um, the last thing was, again, since my menu was cut off, if you go to right here, oops, you go right here and you click on this image, you go to image and sorry, you go to edit and transform or free transform. That's Command T. Okay, so if you don't remember shortcuts, this is a slightly longer method. Image, sorry, not image, edit, transform, free transform. Now, if you want to choose from one of these, you can click transform scale, rotate, skew, distort perspective. And actually, I think I go over this in my next lesson, so I'm jumping ahead. So you might be confused as you're watching this. But anywho, because my bar is cut off, I just wanted to show you here. So edit, transform, free transform to bring up those handles, and then you can scale. And in another lesson, I talk about how you can skew, distort, and all that stuff. But really, on this top menu, the ones that I really use are file to open up something and save. This is a very important. Anytime you want to save, press save. That will just, if you press save, that will just keep saving the same file name. You can do save as, and then you can make it a new file name. So let's say I want to level up. I can name it Untitled 2 instead of Untitled 1. Okay. And then it's kind of weird, but when I want to save a JPEG, I have to do save as a copy. And then when I do that, then it'll allow me to choose JPEG from right here. If I do save as, this is not an option, and I'm not sure how to go around that. So if you want to do save it as a JPEG and export it, essentially, you have to do save as copy. So file, save as copy. Image, I go here sometimes to make sure my mode is correct. RGB color, not CMYK. RGB, 8 bits is fine. I don't touch this. I honestly don't play with any of this because there's shortcuts that I'll show you. But sometimes if I want to play with the image size, which I talked about before, this is where I'll go. So make sure you keep the resolution at 350. And I usually keep this checked. And again, if you want to change things proportionally, make sure you have this clipped. You see that now the height changed proportionally to the width. If I don't have it clipped and I just change this, let's see what happens. You see, it's actually smushed everything. Okay, so this is actually something really good to talk about. If you change the image size, whatever you have will be like proportionally smushed, whatever you have on your canvas. That's different from canvas size. So if I go to canvas size and let's say I go to inches and I want to crop the width to 5, I'm shortening it from 16 to 5. Okay, I'm not going to touch this. This just means it's going to shrink it from both sides equally, I believe. You're going to click OK and it's going to say, are you sure you want to do this? The new canvas size is smaller and some clipping will occur. You can't get this back. Let's just say OK because I'm going to show you what would happen. So you see, it doesn't smush everything, but it's clipped it substantially. So basically, things are cropped out. You can't get it again. This image is cropped. This right here, you see, oh, I can get it back. Actually, I was wrong. So I can get it back. So now it is cropped and I have to move and shrink it. So my bad. I thought it would actually cut it off, but actually, if you move it, you can still get it back. But that's different from image size, which smushed everything. This is just like cropping, clipping your canvas. Now, what would happen though if I actually cropped it? Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. So if I press C for crop, which I go over in another lesson as well, because I realized I forgot to talk about it early on, that's actually going to be like actually cropping the stuff in your image. Okay, so I'm going to move this off the side to make it more drastic. And here's a crop tool. So crop. So it's the first one, and it's going to show a boundary. Okay. And let's say I accidentally crop it and I press enter. It's going to show everything on the outside. It's like, is that really what you want? And I press enter again. Now it's really cropped it. You see that image is cropped. This image is cropped as well. It wasn't longer horizontal like how it was before. So if you don't want that, press Command Z. So Command Z, and that should get you back to before you were cropped. Let's see what this is. Yeah, so that should get you back to before you were cropped. But this is after we've clipped the canvas in canvas size. Now you can also extend a canvas through cropping as well. So let's say I do want to extend it, you can do that. So I've extended it, okay? And now that's kind of back to my original how I wanted it. Now it's blue because the bottom color is blue. Don't really know why I did that, but that's okay. Okay, so let's get out of cropping. Sometimes the cropping tool can be kind of annoying. Just click on this eyedropper tool for selecting color. And again, if I'm moving a little bit fast, I go over all these tools again in later lessons. But if you press I, that is a shortcut for the eyedropper tool. Now I can select any color on my canvas. And you see how it's changing right here, the top square. Right there, it's changing. So let's say I want my canvas to be all white. Okay, just do that. And I mentioned this before, Option delete, and now it will fill in everything, that layer to that one solid color. Now, the same thing, if I just chose another color here, now it's pink and I press Option delete, it's going to fill it in with that salmon paint color. So whatever you want, maybe we want a light gray. Okay, so that's a little bit more about image size, cropping, canvas size. The other thing is I honestly don't use these too much. View, we talked about earlier. So just to refresh, to get your proof set up to dot gain 20, view, proof setup, custom, make sure you do custom, and then down here in the drop-down menu in device to simulate, click dot gain 20. Okay, so dot gain 20 right here. And then the last thing is here is talking about how to turn certain panels on and off. That's under Windows. So let's say I don't want my brushes, that went away, and I actually want my brushes, so now they came back. Let's say I don't use a lot of these. So let's say I want channels for some reason, and that will pop up. But you can also uncheck and check them. So that's all under Windows. Okay. And with dot gain 20 profile, you can see that it turned everything black and white. But with Command Y, it'll turn everything back to color. So again, just a quick refresher, I can easily toggle on and off black and white to color with Command Y under the proof setup dot gain 20. Okay. So that's it. That's what I wanted to show you guys in this lesson.